Hey there, greetings everybody, and welcome here to Prog Monster. My name is Murph. I am the host of this show, a show dedicated to progressive rock and other forms of rock music. So, we're here with the episode that comes out at the beginning of every week called This Week, which is an episode that I do, pretty much weekly, talking about what's going to be coming up on the channel for the week that's about to start. And maybe some stuff that's going to come in the future beyond that. Also, I like to address some things that have happened in the past that I think maybe need correcting. I don't do that often, but sometimes I have to. This week, I'm going to have to do a couple. So first of all, for those of you who are probably aware now because you've seen it, the Forward Champion will come to an end now. We're doing the Grand Championship. I decided to do it because there isn't really enough time for another Grand Champion to win 5 in a row, so it doesn't make any sense to continue with it. And I've decided that this show going forward will probably be gone. More than likely, I'm going to fill that slot with something else that I wish to do. I've enjoyed doing it, but I just think that it's time for a change. And as far as the other show that didn't come out last night, and maybe some people were expecting it, was the Monster Hits. So what's happened with the Monster Hits, for those who have been following a little, is that the number of songs that is becoming available for it is getting less and less as I like less and less stuff. Last week I only did a five top 5 instead of my usual top 10. This week I couldn't even come up with a top 5. In fact, I was hard pressed to come up with 3 songs. Can you imagine? A whole year of hit songs, and I can only come up with 3 that I actually didn't mind. And it wasn't even like I liked them, I just didn't mind them. So at that point, after going through list and list of stuff and couldn't find even 5 songs, I decided that this was the end of the line for Monster Hits. And then I knew that was going to eventually happen, as part of the reason I got out of rock music in the mid-'80s, because going forward that the radio stations were playing very sappy crap, pretty much what they were playing, and it was getting worse as we went along. And that's not to say that there wasn't good music. There's lots of good music, but it just wasn't radio friendly. There was all the radio stuff became very sappy. This was sorry, one of my lights is flashing here. That's what happens when you get these LED lights. Yeah, they last forever, but sometimes they don't always last perfectly. So, at any rate, back to what I was talking about. So these just I knew this was going to happen. I thought it would happen earlier than it did, but we got all the way up to 1989, which I thought was pretty good considering the level of absolute terrible stuff that was coming out. So I decided, after searching through my database for songs for the year, I decided that, you know what, I can't even scrape together 5 hits. This has come to an end. And I knew it would come to an end. I just didn't know that it would get all the way to 1990 before that happened. So I decided not to make the video, and I axed it. And that's the end for Monster Hits. We will be replacing that spot with something else. I have a couple of shows that I want to do. I'm going to try and fit them in. I'm not sure exactly when they'll start, though. I haven't decided on that part. So for this week, neither of the new shows will start, but Monster Hits will not continue in the slot and be pretty much finished now. I may start it again at some point, go back and do maybe a second list on something, but as it is right now, it's pretty much dead in the water. So for those of you who like those shows, I thank you for watching them. It's been much appreciated. It's been enjoyable to do them up to a certain point, but time to do something that's a little bit more relevant to what I'm doing here. So anyways, so that's it for the things that I wanted to say about the shows that were going on, that are going to be coming off the air as effective now. So now we're going to move forward to what's going to be happening this week. So this week, of course, we have the Great Album Challenge, which comes out tonight. Ben has chosen the year 1970. Most of the stuff he gave me, I have either listened to or own. So I'm pretty pretty good with that. What else? So that show will go forward as it normally does. So we'll continue with that show, alternating with Ben's album challenge, which we did last week. So we're doing the Great Album Challenge this week. So I look forward to ranking these 10 albums that Ben's given me for tonight's episode. So we hopefully will see you there for that. Then we have the Monday night look back at a classic rock album, which has been one of the 2 longest shows I've been running. I love doing this show. I love the search for an album that I really enjoyed that was a classic for me. There's been a few that have become classics, newer classics, which are good. So basically how that episode works for those of you who are new to this, I usually choose a classic album that is at least a 2 in ranking with me. So either a 2, a 1, or a masterpiece album. And then I review it in the sense that I'm not critiquing it for whether you should like it or not. Review it in the sense of how I feel about it. That's basically how I do it. And the only stipulation on it is it has to be greater than 15 years in length. 15 years in age. And it has to meet the criteria of being a 2, a 1, or a masterpiece. So we've been doing this now almost since the beginning of the show. This was one of the first shows that I started. This week we're going to be doing an album from Neil Young. I've been a bit of a Neil Young kick lately, so we're doing... Actually, it's a Neil Young and Crazy Horse album called Rust Never Sleeps. It was part of my 30 favorite rock albums from the year 1979. I think it was number 6, if I'm correct. So we'll be doing that one. I actually had thought I had done it, but I clearly didn't upon reviewing my notes. It wasn't in there. I think it was on my playlist, and for whatever reason I skipped it and decided not to do it at that point in time. But now we are going to do it. So that will be Monday night's look back at a classic rock album. Neil Young and Crazy Horse, Rust Never Sleeps. The next show up comes out on Wednesday night. There will be no Tuesday night show this week, as What's New is going to move to the Thursday night slot to replace Forward Champion. So that'll be effective immediately. That show will run on Thursday nights now. And for those of you who are wondering why, basically Ben's album challenge, which is bi-weekly, comes out. So you have it's kind of an album review where we're talking about one specific album in a kind of a review sense. It's not as in-depth as some of them. And then you have Monday night's look back at a classic rock album, which is a much more in-depth show. And then you have What's New, which is a review of something that's new. So I don't want to have 3 of those type of shows in a row, even though they're different settings and different factors involved, but they still are kind of review shows. I don't want to have 3 reviews in a row. So that's effectively the reason why I'm moving it to Thursday, to kind of, I just stepped on a rock, to effectively not have these 3 shows in a row. I wanted to space them out a little more, so I moved it to the Thursday night slot, and that's the reason why that happened. Okay, so Wednesday night is favorites. This week I'm going to do something, it's going to be a 2-parter. Well, it's going to sort of be a 2-parter. It's not going to be a part A and B. It'll be two distinct shows, but opposites. So the first one will be my 5 albums I didn't like, but eventually they became favorites. And then, of course, we'll do one that are 5 albums that kind of I liked a lot, but they really didn't stand up to the test of time. So those are going to be the 2 we're going to do. But we're going to start with this one first, which will go this week. And I'm looking forward to doing this because there's a lot of albums. I could easily do 3 or 4 episodes of this, and I may do another one of this. But for now, we'll start with the first one, which is my 5 albums I didn't like, but eventually grew to be among my favorite albums. Okay. The next show up is, of course, the new slot for What's New, which will start this week on Thursday night. And we're going to do the new Peter Gabriel I/O, or In and Out if you prefer. I've been waiting for what seems like eternity for this album to come out. They've been going on about it for a decade now, and it's been over 20 years since he released a solo album. I'm really hoping that this is something that I'm going to love, because Gabriel is among my group of 8. I absolutely love his stuff. And the only problem I have with Gabriel is that it just never seems to be, it never quite seems to be enough of him. There's not enough albums. He's just, since his first 3 or 4 albums up until Security in 1980, where at that point he had released 4 albums in his first 4 years. At that point it just became more sporadic. He got one in 86 and then another one in 92, and then, it just kept getting further apart, and that's a little bit disappointing for somebody who loves his music. So I'm so looking forward to this. And I'm going out shopping today at some point, so I'm hoping that I might be able to land this album and be able to do the review with an actual album in my hand. So that's what's going to happen for What's New on Thursday night. The next show is going to come out on Friday night. So replacing Monster Hits on Friday nights now will be Metal. So it's going to move from that Saturday night slot, which I really didn't like having it there, because I try to keep Saturdays free. That's my day of listening to albums and making up my lists for the week and getting my paperwork in order for my videos. And so I don't want any distraction from that. So I don't like to have anything actually set for Saturday, except for maybe the series which come out in the morning. But generally speaking, that's what I like to do on those days. And of course, I got to do all my shopping and all that stuff that I always do. That's normal. So that album will come out on... Metal will now move to the Friday slot, and it's going to be alternating with another series, another show, which is going to be called Album Sides. This will be, basically, I'm going to pick a side of an album. Actually, we'll talk about that a little bit later in the show. I just want to get into the Metal here right now. So Metal will come out this Friday. The group I chose, I had 3 groups in mind. And then I decided that because I'm running a series that's required a lot of attention of mine, I picked the one with the least amount of discography of the 3 that I had decided, and that was Celtic Frost. This is a band that I've been interested in. I've become a little bit more interested in doom metal because of my recent experience with the last group that we did on metal. So now that I want to get a little bit more into that. So we're going to do Celtic Frost this week for metal. I hope that that's going to be something of interest to me as well as of interest to you. So that's it for the shows that are coming out, regular shows coming out this week. There's only 6 of them now, but there will be more as I add the new ones on. And also, the series is running. We've done 2 episodes. Actually, I did make 2 videos of the original 2 episodes, and then I didn't like them. There was a couple of things I didn't like. I didn't like the title of the series. I didn't like a couple of things I had said in there that I thought were not really correct, so I erased both videos and then remade them, and then I'm much more comfortable with what I was talking about then. And we changed the title a couple times, actually, but now we're calling this series, if I'm correct, Progressive Rock by Solo Artist Album Wars. So I'm hoping that this will be of interest. There's a lot of stuff here that Ben has given me, a lot of groups, many of which I haven't heard before. But initially, I looked at the list of stuff he gave me. Initially, there's some of the band albums that I'm not all that crazy about are coming up early on. But I'm trying to keep an open mind and giving them a second chance. Because, what I've discovered since this series, since I started this channel, is that, and I've always kind of had this a bit in myself in the last 10 or 15 years, where if I listen to an album and I don't really like it, I just put it back into the haven't listened to album section, because it's to me, it's a non-ranked. It doesn't get a rank because there's only 4 rankings with me: Masterpiece, Level 1, Level 2, and Level 3. If they don't get one of those 4 rankings, then they're unrated. It doesn't matter if I don't like them. I could hate the album, and there are a few of those albums that I really don't like, but they don't get a rating as a 4 or 5 because it doesn't go that way with me. It just goes back into the unrated category and will stay there until it actually gets a rating. And if it never gets a rating, it never gets a rating. That's just the way it is. So, anyways, that's what we are. That's what we're doing for the series this month. We've done 2 episodes. The 3rd episode, of course, came out this morning. So, actually 3 episodes. So I hope you will get a chance to go through those and look at them and see if there's anything in there that you're interested in. So that series will continue for the entire month of December until we get a champion at the end. So that's it for the current stuff that's going on. The stuff that's coming up in the future. So we have a couple things. 2 new series for sure. More likely they will start in January. Not January, sorry. More likely they will start, in January. I don't know what I was thinking. So there's 2 of them. The first one is called Album Sides. Basically what that is, I'm going to pick an album for the week, and we'll discuss why I think the album side of this album is so good. Like, is it a perfect side of an album? Perfect in the sense that there's no flaws with it. Is there any such thing? Is there any such album like that? I don't really know, but there's a few of them that are really close. Like, there's quite a few that are really close, and we'll be discussing every time we do an episode that we'll be discussing one of these album sides. And I have a number of them already in my mind to do. So I think it'll be an interesting thing because, of course, an album sides tend to fall into the old category of vinyls A and B sides. You don't get that with the CDs because it's all just one side, right? However, even some of these do have vinyl albums, and if I happen to find one that I really like, that is a CD from a more modern age, but it also has a vinyl release, I will go by the vinyl release side in order to talk about the album side, if that actually ends up being the case. So those are kind of the parameters of that, and we'll be discussing things like, why is this a perfect album side? What are the songs? Talk about the songs, about the artists. When did the album come out? How does it fit into the discography? All that kind of stuff will fall into that. And so it'll be a relatively short show. Maybe I'm hoping to be under 10 minutes for almost all the episodes, but it'll be something of interest, and it'll alternate because we're going to put it in the same spot as metal. So it'll alternate weekly with metal. The reason I like to do metal as an alternating show is that it's sorry, that's 3 hits in a row. The reason I like to take time with them is because they are generally a lot more involved. There's a lot more you have to listen to. Got to look through several different sources to get a kind of feel for what the band is like, about the group members and the following and all that kind of stuff. So it takes a lot more time and effort to put those shows together, so I need longer periods between episodes. So that's pretty much why I'm doing a bi-weekly episode of those particular ones. So album sides and metal will alternate, and it'll be on the Friday night. The other show that is definitely a show that I've been thinking about how I want to work it, and it's very preliminary right now, so there's no set things on it, but I know kind of basically what I want to do, is something similar to metal, but in the prog world, which is what the name of this show is going to be called, Prog World. We will talk about one particular prog band, maybe a bit about their discography, something about their history, maybe the members, kind of the similar thing as metal. The only thing is it'll be probably more in depth because I have a lot more familiarity with progressive rock than I do with metal. So that series will come on Tuesday nights and will probably be the same as metal. It'll be in an alternate bi-weekly type of thing with another series, which I have not even thought of yet. So there will be another series. So that likely will start in January with this other series. And I'm going to try and alternate them so that I have the week that Metal comes out on Friday night, this show will not come out. It'll come out the following week, so that I don't have these two big shows at the same time. That's kind of where I'm going with this. Okay, as for January and the series, there will be no monthly series that month. I'm taking that month away because I want time to work on some of these other smaller projects that I have in mind, including a couple of mini series that I will be doing. One of them will be this suggestion that Ben gave me. Actually, I think he's probably going back to September, I think, when he first mentioned this, in which I'm going to do a mini series on Yes and Genesis. So originally it was going to be a Yes versus Genesis, but it's not really going to be like that. It's going to be about, there's going to be 6 different categories. I'll choose 6 different albums. We'll do 6 different videos in which I'll have one Genesis and one Yes album in each of those categories. And I'll detail this before the series starts on what those categories will be and what the albums will be chosen to do for that series. We'll do 6 episodes in which I will talk about the 2 albums, and there'll be albums that have some similarity. There's going to be something that's common to the 2 albums from these 2 different bands, and about why I like each of these albums or what I don't like about each album, and who maybe did better at one particular aspect of it and maybe somebody else did better at the other aspect. But these are 2 bands that are widely viewed by a lot of progressive rock fans as being 2 of the best progressive rock bands, and they're often compared to each other because of their similarity in a lot of areas. So that series will go. It's going to be a 6-episode series. The other series that I'm going to run, mini-series I'm going to run for sure, those are 2 that I'm going to run for sure in January. The second one is going to be those 6 progressive rock bands that are well loved by YouTube people, by the Prog community here on YouTube, that didn't quite make that level that the Yeses and the Genesis and the Pink Floyds made. They're kind of the tier 2 level bands that maybe didn't have that commercial success, or maybe didn't have that quote notoriety with the general public, or maybe they weren't viewed in quite the same light as the Yeses and the Genesis and the Rushes and the Floyds. But nevertheless, the prog community here on YouTube views them as being as good as those bands in a lot of ways. So, and I've picked out 6 bands. There's going to be 6 of them. I think most of them are pretty commonly liked by prog musicians or prog YouTube sites here on YouTube, of course. And I think it'll be interesting. And they're bands I love and bands I know that you will all like as well. So I hope to do that mini-series. That'll be a 6-episode mini-series too, and I'll give you all the parameters on it before it starts as well. I may do a 3rd mini-series. It'll depend on time and factors, but I won't get into that today. So is there anything else that I haven't said? I know people are still waiting on this Roy Orbison thing. I will get to it. I'm hoping that I will be able to put it together in January and maybe release it in February. February, I had originally thought that I may do a month-long series on sweet-sounding vocalists, but I'm not sure if I'm going to go there yet. I haven't decided, so that's quite a bit farther in the future. So that's what we're up to this week on this channel on Prog Monster. I hope to see you all, so please hit the like and the subscribe button. If you have any recommendations or anything that you would like to see, please put it in the comment section. If I can do it, I will. If I can't do it for whatever reason, then I'll kind of mention why I won't do it or why I can't do it. So, and that's all I can do really. So, and please hit the subscribe button and hit the notification bell if you want to be notified of this content. So, I know this has been a bit of a lengthy video this week, this month, because of the changes and stuff going on. We will also be doing a Christmas top 12 days of Christmas songs by rock bands. Ben suggested this months ago, not months ago, weeks ago, and I kind of dismissed it at the time because I'm not really into that Christmas kind of rock stuff. But my friend Andrea, she wants to do it. She's insisting on it. She's never actually showed any kind of interest in me and doing anything involved in this, but this one she's been on. So we're going to do this 12 Days of Christmas. And she's going to give me all the songs, and I'm just going to choose 12 of them and make it 12 days. The 12 songs of Christmas, like the 12 Days of Christmas. So I hope that you will show up for that as well. So I hope you have a good day and a good night, and take care of yourself. We will see you soon here on Prog Monster. Take care. Bye.